Welcome to Worth Your Time with your hosts from the nationally syndicated Bob and Tom Show, Kristi Lee, and the president and CEO of the Indianapolis Zoo, Dr. Rob Shumaker. Our mission to inform, entertain, and educate with guests from all aspects of life. We guarantee there isn't another podcast that features two hosts with such different backgrounds and discussions with remarkable people doing exceptional things. So let's get started. Here are your hosts, Kristi Lee and Dr. Rob Shumaker.
Kristi Lee.
Dr. Rob Shumaker, how are you?
I'm fantastic because I'm totally fanboy for the fantastic musician we're going to talk to for our episode today. This is episode 2.
And if you missed the first one of Worth Your Time,
stop right now. Go back.
Yeah.
Listen to episode 1. I promise you're not going to regret it. Josh Turner, Joshua Lee Turner, Joshua Turner guitar, Josh Turner guitar. Try all those to find him. 500 plus unbelievable videos on YouTube. Almost 800,000 followers, subscribers on YouTube. And now on Worth Your Time. So there you go. You're just adding to the catalog. So
it's going to be right up there next to his Grammy, isn't it?
That's it. Josh, we're awfully glad you're back. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, glad to be back. And for the folks at home, I do not have a Grammy.
Hey, I was saying, you have to put it out there. You put it out there in the universe will bring it to you.
Yeah,
very true.
Well, since you mentioned that, I will say something, and I'm curious, Chris. I'm just going to ask Kristi this. This is kind of about Josh. So I was thinking, there have been a few times when I've thought to myself, I can't believe I saw this person live in an intimate venue like 5 feet away at some point in their career, because later on it never ever happens again. And probably the first person I would say that about was Shawn Colvin. So years and years ago, I saw Shawn Colvin at my wife and I love her, and we saw her a few times, but at a venue, and I think we were, I was 5 feet away from her the whole concert, just her and her guitar. It was incredible. And I would say more recently, not quite as intimate, but kind of close, was I saw Sting. And it was just Sting. Unbelievable. And I felt like, how did I get so lucky to see this person? Who is that for you? You must have some.
Well, I think probably the band that really shot to a major stardom, and I saw them in a venue with 30 people. I mean, it was like there was no one there. The Black Keys. Wow. And I had gone to this particular venue to meet a friend, and at the time the venue, there was a bar on one side in the venue, and I walked into the bar to meet my friend, and I heard this music, and I was like, what is going on? And they go, oh, that's some new band that's here. And it was like a Wednesday night. And I walked in and I was just mesmerized. I'm like, all this music was coming out of 3 people. I couldn't believe it. And then within a year, they were everywhere. It was just incredible. But that's kind of happened to me. I've had a lot of wonderful experiences. Yeah. Because I don't know if Josh knows this, but I'm on a nationally syndicated radio show where we do live performances a lot. So I've sat with, Peter Frampton, and I've sat with, oh my gosh, I mean, the list, that's the only one because I love him so much that I can think of right now.
But that's what, to me, that's what it's like, Josh, that I've seen you perform live twice, and really intimate venues. And I still think I'm going to look back on it and say, I can't believe I got to see him in that intimate venue, because just incredible.
You are very incredible. And here's what I'm going to ask. How do we get from the intimate venues to get your music out more? How do we do that?
Well, there are a couple of different answers to that question. I think, if you were to ask a manager that I was working with for a period of time recently, the answer would be Spotify. You got to get playlisted on Spotify so that, that you get a broader audience through streaming, which opens doors in terms of playing festivals, and then festivals, gives you legitimacy for playing larger stages. And then we get you on opener slots for bigger bands with, where you can kind of cross-pollinate with their audience and so on and so on. I mean, to be honest with you, it's something that is talked about a lot. I've heard a version of that a lot, a version of like, oh, I feel so lucky that I got to see you in XYZ size place. I've been playing somewhat similar size venues for the last, 5 years now. And to be honest, like the music that I'm playing, I don't really, it's more, the quality of audience is more important to me than the quantity. I would rather play a place where there are 300 people who are really paying attention than there being 3,000 people who are just waiting for the one hit to come around. I mean, I'm very pragmatic, and I would love the financial security of playing for 3,000 people who are waiting for the hit to come around. But like, but you don't choose a career in the arts for the financial security. You choose it because there's something intangible and reciprocal that you get from sharing music with an audience. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, my philosophy has always just kind of been to walk through doors as they open. But I've never really pursued a particular goal when it comes to a size of audience or a size of venue or anything like that, just because it hasn't really been a priority for me. A lot of people will often ask like, oh, like what venue have you always dreamed of playing? And I'm just like, oh, I don't really care. Like if the opportunity to play Madison Square Garden comes up for some reason, like I certainly wouldn't say no to it, but I don't think I would necessarily get more out of it than, I mean, it's a heck of a feather to have in your cap as a performer, but like, I don't think it would mean more to me necessarily than playing for a room of, 200 people who are really locked in and really paying attention. And we're all kind of sharing, a special moment in that way. So, how do you get from A to B? Well, there's a very sort of formulaic industry answer to that in terms of like, okay, we're going to connect you to these people, and that's going to open this door, and that's going to open this door, and it's like, who do you know, and like build your reputation, and I've started to walk down that path. We haven't talked about it much yet, but a recent artist project that I was working with was called The Bygones, and we had started to go down that road. But part of what I discovered with that project, which, as of recently has disbanded, is that it's just a massive amount of work, but it's also a massive amount of single-minded focus. And one of the things that I've loved about YouTube, where most of my work can be found, is that I can focus on whatever the hell I want to for any length of time, and there is a core of people who have come to my shows who trust that and are willing to come along for the journey. And those are the people that I want to be playing to fundamentally, not how many people can we pick up as quickly as possible. So yeah.
I also think it's quite remarkable when you perform live, you've got people of all ages at the venue. And at least when I've seen you, there's not a seat left. I mean, it's just packed. And does it resonate with you that you're crossing? I think I probably saw 3 generations when I saw you live.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thing. It's both an honor and a challenge for me as an artist, the fact that it's people of all ages, because a lot of the music that I am best known for on my YouTube channel is music that was popular I love the music of the 50s through 70s especially. There's just something about that time period that really does it for me. And so I get a couple of waves. I get people who are sort of primary experiencers of that music, when they were kids, that was what was on the radio. And then we get people who were their kids in some cases, like you get some Gen X folks, and then you get people who've now discovered, the Beatles or whatever through a TikTok soundbite, and there are people, because like all music has to go through a period of being uncool, and then it comes out on the other side of this sort of U-shaped arc, and then it gets cool again when people are young enough. And so oftentimes we'll have a bunch of people who are 50 and up, and then a bunch of people who are 25 and under at shows, and we have this sort of U-shaped demographic curve that comes out, and it's very cool, and it's also a challenge because people who are over 50 are looking for a very different type of energy than people who are under 25, and trying to cater to both is a logistical challenge for sure.
the music that you perform, and I think it's regardless of whoever you were collaborating with, and again, we should talk about it because you've had so many fantastic collaborations, unbelievably talented people, and then when you add you into it, it just takes it, into the stratosphere. But for me, there's just a purity about what you do, and like when I mentioned Sean Colvin, I just love a beautiful voice with a string instrument. I mean, it's just. There's nothing better. It's so pure and fantastic. I mean, I love all kinds of music, but you seem to gravitate towards that so much, and you do it so well that it's interesting to me because I don't know where else to find that in a current artist. I don't know any that create music like you do.
One of the paradoxes of success as an artist is that it gives you the money to make music however you want. And since I've never been, that commercially successful in the traditional sense, it has meant that I have continued to work within a set of limitations for most of the time that I've been working. And part of that set of limitations is it's usually just me and one or two other people or a very small ensemble, because I always hire people for my YouTube channel. I pay people to appear, even if they're friends, because it just feels like the right thing to do. But I have really come to like that set of limitations. I like not just being like, what I want is a string section. Oh, and I want orchestral brass and whatever. I like how much can I possibly do with just one person, or how much can I do with just two people. The duo format in particular has always really spoken to me, just because music is just another type of communication, and there's a conversational quality to playing duo music that feels especially natural to me and is especially gratifying, more so often than playing solo, although I play solo as well, just out of necessity a lot of the time too. But yeah.
So also incredible to me that you also duet with yourself. Yeah. A lot. It's incredible.
Yeah. I've gotten good at that over the years. I mean, there's software that makes it relatively easy now, but it's also it's a good way to practice. It keeps you honest. When you have to play along to yourself, you better make sure you got the time right the first time around.
How do you reproduce that live when you have all these different instruments and people in these videos, and then you go out solo?
Well, I've actually never toured my own solo original material. I was supposed to in 2020, and then that tour, along with many other dates I was supposed to play, got canceled. I've put out a couple albums of my own original material, but I've never had the opportunity to tour them because I've always foregrounded other projects that I've been doing, other collaborations. That's going to be changing into 2025. I'm going to be refocusing on playing solo material, but I've actually never fully had to answer that question of how to do. I mean, I think that trying to really reproduce what I'm doing on YouTube is a little bit of a fool's errand, just because the breadth is so great and the number of instruments is also a lot. You're not going to be able to please everybody. I take a certain amount of pride in the fact that when I've talked to people after shows, people be like, what video I really love of yours? And man, I have heard almost every single one of the 500 videos listed as somebody's favorite video, which is amazing, but it also means that there's no way that I can play everyone's favorite song at a show, which is kind of freeing, actually, because it means that I can kind of just make the set be whatever I want it to be. So the touring that I've done in the past has mostly consisted of focusing on the originals and, some select favorite covers from YouTube of a particular duo project that I've been performing with. So for several years I was touring with the other favorites, and so the set was all, whatever album we just put out, plus a couple of people's favorite YouTube videos. And then more recently, a similar format with The Bygones, where me and Allison Young were performing let's say 80%, 90% our own original music that we were promoting along with a new album, and then a couple of favorite covers that people had played. So that's what shows have looked like in the past, but going forward, I'm not fully sure yet.
So this is also a wonderful opportunity to point out that you don't just play guitar, you play a multitude of instruments.
Yeah, I was just thinking exactly the same.
Yeah, so like what is the live show like? Do you bring all of them out? Do you like...
It depends where I am. If I'm in the U.S., I've traveled with up to 4 instruments at a time. Yeah, so with the Bygones, I was touring with a 6-string acoustic guitar, a 6-string electric guitar, a 12-string guitar, and a ukulele. And then my bandmate Allison had a guitar and a keyboard that she was playing, alternating during the show. And I mean, even if it's all original music and I'm not playing covers and I don't have to play specific parts or whatever, I just like having a lot of sonic variety in the course of a show. I think it's very easy for 2 guitars and 2 vocals to become a little bit monotonous, no matter how good the act is. So I'm thinking about what I would want as a listener as I structure that. I mean, I've toured also with a banjo and a baritone electric guitar and and an electric bass and whatever. I mean, generally, if there's a role to be filled on stage, I will try and fill it. But very much so, my primary instrument is 6-string guitar, either acoustic or electric, and then writing arrangements for stage that cover as much ground as possible. So oftentimes I'll be playing the bass line and a little bit of rhythm, and then I'll also be playing solos in between. And sometimes I'll even do whole just instrumental guitar pieces in the middle of the set. There are practical restrictions to how many instruments you can tour with, but I do my best to make sure that I'm, getting the most out of the ones that I have.
Well, I bet you're really good at math, aren't you?
Oh, I was terrible at it.
Really?
Common misconception about me, actually.
That
yeah.
shocks
Really?
me.
I am shocked
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Wow.
I thought great musicians were all good at math because there's so much
minus,
going on.
minus 1.
Apparently not. Well, 2 things. First of all, I would recommend if you want to see multiple instruments and duetting with yourself, watch the Wild Horses video, which is incredible, genius.
Oh, thank you.
Can we pause here for a second and let you talk about some of the albums that people might want to look for and where they can get them?
So, the most recent album that I was involved with was with the Bygones. We were touring through the U.S. and Europe last year, and the album is self-titled, just Bygones. We produced that down in Nashville with a great producer named Thad Kopech, and myself and Allison Young split the songwriting duties on that about 50-50. It's sort of in the indie, folky, rocky type world, but there are a lot of different influences on it. One of the things that I look for in collaborators is people who similarly share lots of influences, and so on that album, Allison and I incorporated some classical music influence, some jazz influence, some traditional American folk influence, but the core of it is indie rock, and that's the most recent major project I've been involved in. Of my own solo material, I put out an album back in 2020 called Public Life that is my own songs and a couple of instrumentals as well. And all of that album was filmed and released on YouTube as a sort of like hybrid video-audio series. And then, I also released and toured extensively with a group called The Other Favorites for a couple of years. Myself and Carson McKee, we've been likened to the Everly Brothers and Simon and Garfunkel and things like that. Lots of duo harmony there as well. And
wow.
yeah.
And when the 2 of you sing together, Nelson Mintz and Allison Young, when you blend your voices, it's just, I don't know, ethereal. It's unbelievable. I mean, just remarkable. I don't even know. How do you explain it, Josh? Because obviously you can duet with all kinds of people and it's maybe fine, but then you duet with that right person and your voices just do something that you couldn't possibly predict.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things that go into it. I mean, with me and Carson, our project, The Other Favorites, he and I met when we were in 8th grade, and we started singing together, at that time. And so almost from the time that our voices had changed, through puberty up until the time we were 30, we were singing duet together continuously. And there is no replacement for that amount of practice and that amount of into the collective intuition that you establish, where you're meeting each other in the middle without even having to talk through it or acknowledge it. It becomes totally second nature. With Allison, I had been singing with her for a much shorter period of time, but both she and I come from extensive choral music backgrounds. And one of the things that you really get drilled into your head singing choral music is blend and listening as much as you are singing. I really admire great singers, great solo vocalists, people like Brittany Howard is like a great modern example of the Alabama Shakes, who is somebody who, like, the second you hear their voice, you can immediately distinguish who it is. But I was not gifted with such an instantly recognizable voice. And so in my opinion, so for me, the pleasure of singing lies in locking in with somebody else's sound. And so Allison and I, having both sang in choirs for a long time, it was similarly intuitive to working with Carson, where we were just immediately able to meet in the middle and find a unified sound there. And I think we both knew really early on that it was better than average. It was very intuitive and very fun. Yeah.
Well, that's the understatement of the year, better than average. So
that leads us to now.
Yeah,
and I bet
I want to hear about the solo stuff.
Something coming out.
Tell us about the solo stuff.
Yeah. So I've been writing. I've been getting back to writing my own original material. I mean, I've had a very on and off relationship with it over the years. I put out a solo album in 2019, a solo album in 2020, and then I was focused on other projects and duo projects and the constant drumbeat of YouTube videos for several years. But I've been slowly working on some of my own stuff. And one thing that's in the works for this year that actually we haven't officially announced yet, but I guess your audience will be the first to know, is I did a video series in conjunction with an album release a couple of years back called Among Friends, where my wife Kelly and I took a road trip around the U.S. and recorded collaborations all around the country with friends of mine, and then put the results out as both an album on streaming services and a video series on YouTube. And we are hoping to do another season of that. It's going to be in a different location, and I will withhold that for now because not enough logistics are in place yet. But so that's going to be another album, hopefully leaning a little bit more into original music, both of my own and my collaborators that we'll be recording this year. And I'm also going to be working towards another solo album of original music, which it'll be my first in some 5 years at this point. I haven't decided yet if I want it to be all instrumental guitar, which I've been thinking about doing for a while, or if I want to incorporate some songs with lyrics as well. But either way, yeah, I mean, they may not see full release until early 2026, just because filming and editing and promoting and things like that take a very long time. But in the meantime, this year, I will have some other smaller projects going on. I have some new collaborators lined up that I'm hoping to work with soon. And the YouTube videos will probably never stop. So
cool.
Yeah.
So
can I say something real quick?
Yeah, go.
You might want to think about that instrumental album. That's how Peter Frampton got his Grammy.
Is that true?
That's true. He never had a Grammy until he released the instrumental album. Yeah.
Well, it's funny that you should mention there is a little bit of a hack in that, actually, because I think that there's less competition in the instrumental category.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So but you're personal friends with Peter Frampton.
Yes,
it's true. So we've got to figure out a way to have Josh and Peter Frampton
collaborate.
That'd be incredible.
Yeah, you better. Yeah, I'll see him April 11th. He'll be in town. You be in town? Come into town, April 11th.
We'll bring up your name.
Okay. You let me know. I'll be in town when I need to be in town. But yeah.
So Josh, just I think we didn't do it enough on this episode. Can you remind people where to find you on YouTube and your website?
Sure. So yeah, there is another famous musician with the same quite common name as me, Josh Turner. He's a country singer. If you search me online and there is a beard involved, it is not me.
Or a cowboy hat.
Or a cowboy hat, also not me, unless something has gone terribly wrong. But
and he's a big man.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can search for either Joshua Lee Turner, which is what my original music is all posted under, or you can search for Josh Turner Guitar, which is the name of my YouTube channel. And you can find my website by searching either of those things as well.
So I was going to ask, we'll see if we can twist your arm just a little bit. You're talking a lot about the next phase, where you're going next, and solo work and original music of your own. I mean, your covers are incredible, and I think we're wondering, is there any way we can convince you to do something original for us live right now?
Sure. Yeah.
So good.
You didn't really have to twist his arm, did
we
you?
didn't have to twist hard.
No, it wasn't too much.
So tell us what we're going to hear, and maybe a little bit about it, and then I think we're just going to let you play us out on this episode.
If that's all right.
Sure, yeah. So this is a tune that I wrote when I wrote it last year, and I became an uncle recently. Well, actually, not that recently now. I guess my niece is 3 years old, but it's just a meditation on that. I guess just the passage of time that everybody sort of experiences. And it's a love song of sorts, I suppose, as well. But it's
and what's the name of it?
It's named for my niece. The tune is called Nina. Let me just check my audio levels.
Well,
here
while you're checking that stuff, Josh, you've just been incredible. We can't thank you enough. What a privilege. And live and original music, fantastic.
What does the future hold for someone so small? What can a future hold? Anything at all, when you're everything I'm afraid of, everything I'm afraid to lose, everything I hope for, and soon enough I'll have to choose, I have to choose. A duck handle umbrella, now I think of you when it rains. Tired voices through a thin wall. Now I wonder at the pain, 'cause you're everything I'm afraid of, everything I'm afraid to lose, everything I hope for, and soon enough I have to choose, I have to choose. Now you're wrapped around my finger, and you're stumbling down the street on the same block where I mumbled, and I got down on my knees 'cause you're everything I'm afraid of. Everything I'm afraid to lose. Everything I hope for. And soon enough I'll have to choose. I have to choose. Gonna have to choose.
You've been listening to Worth Your Time with Dr. Rob Shumaker and Kristi Lee. If you like what you hear, please give a review wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to tell your friends. Word of mouth is the best compliment. Thanks to our producers, Chris Spangle of Leaders and Legends, LLC. You can reach him at leadersandlegends.net. Also, thanks to Sophie Ritz. I'm Christopher Geisen. Thanks for joining us.